everybody. This is the first episode of the Case For Black Reparations, reparations for short. Yes, we are getting down to the business because that is the whole purpose of this. I don't deal with the do-around, So, this idea originated in a dream. Literally, the symbol, the premise, the medium in which I was supposed to start it all came in a dream, and the purpose that I got within that dream, pretty much, and I'm going to tell you this here, is the Case for Black Reparations is about how we can go about bettering ourselves as a people, and I'm talking about all of the individuals of the African diaspora. When you hear about reparations, there's always some fantasy about it because there's something that Congress will not touch. It will cause another civil war, and that's none of our concern. What reparations are, of course, are repairing what has been done to you in a reactive sense. So to better research, to better instruct myself on what I'm trying to talk to you about, because I do not believe on talk to them that you do not thoroughly know about. I've been reading this book. I've been looking into Jewish reparations. I've been looking into Native American reparations. I've been looking into reparations that were both enacted by the government and reparations that were enacted by us as a people. So of course we know the Black Panthers. My theory is this: being that we in America are very knowledgeable of the fact that racism is an integral part of our Constitution, of our government, of how we even look at each other as people on this country, on this landmass in this country, I do not believe that is a fantasy to ask of Congress to grant us reparations. Lawyers, do your work, do your business, do what you really want to do, of course, but we can also start as a people. So the purpose of this podcast, which is going to be a visual, which is going to actually being in the community and working with the people that need the help and that can actually speak from their own experience of what they actually need versus somebody coming into the community and saying, here's what I'm going to give you, and it's not what they really need to know. Reparations are going to stretch across all of that. So here is something that you can find on the website, thecaseforblack.com, and it's pretty much a forward, if you will. Say this is a book. It goes like this. It was 2019. It has been 400 years since the first sold Africans left the port of Ghana, West Africa. Today there are campaigns there, Barbados, and more. The Welcome Home campaigns, rich with the purpose to connect the children of the African diaspora to the different places that housed them, pre the hordes of colonialism and slavery. Celebrities from all over took the liberty to spend the New Year celebration in Ghana. But life continued here in post-colonial America. Black people that still didn't have the liberty to even pay attention to their roots in the hustle that is staying alive, tending to their families, trying to remain alive in dealing with the lasting effects of displacement, separation, and the demeaning and disparaging effects of slavery, coined PTSD, or post-traumatic slave disorder, by the lovely Dr. Joy. This is for the people, the lover of visuals, those able and willing to listen to the analog, the lover of books, the lover of self-improvement and education. But this is also for those who don't have the time, energy, and ability left to fight. It shall be available to those with the morsel of winning, the will to live, pretty much. It shall be brought to them as well. Above all, the monetary disparagement, the societal disenfranchisement, the physical, mental, sexual, and emotional abuse and toxicity that damage nearly every portion of our relationships today. The government sabotage. Slavery broke our souls. Our will to fight, our urge to react, in some, most cases, not all, of course. But for those without that confidence, that self-assurance, that powerful, the knowledge of liberty, etc., for those without that, we are chained elephants, waiting and complacent with the gloom of our circumstances. This is for the soul. This is the case for Black reparations. So pretty much with this podcast, you're going to hear me interview various people in the community that I've come across with just being in there or being told about that has wonderful advice for us as Black people, whether that is African Americans, whether that is Africans, whether that is West Indians. It's knowledge for us because we come from oral histories. That was how we used to learn back when we were in our mother continent, and that is how we learn now. You either learn from experience or you learn by listening. So being that we have the experiences already, let's try listening. So I want to play a teaser, a clip, if you will, of an interview that is one of many to come. And pretty much I want to bring the conversations that are being held to a more public view, because not everybody has the time to have these conversations. Not everybody has the freedom in their mind to think about these, because they're worried about maintaining their financial freedom, their spiritual freedom, their freedom to even live what they want to live or live in a good place. So all that being said, I'm going to play this clip. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so excited to keep this going, and much love and appreciation. See y'all soon.
Generation, and defined by in world history books and American history books and so on and so forth, and has been positioned as the story. Right. And as opposed to the African story or the Native American story, indigenous folk story, or I can go on and on and on and on, right? The indigenous people in Australia. I mean, you can go on and on and on.
Right.
You know, so in that, in and of itself, gave the ones, as the African proverb goes, until the lion is able to tell the write his own story, the hunter is always the victor. To live in a time, and you pretty much just about always lived in this time, but to live in a time where you can see that if you have the knowledge, vision, resources, you can tell your own story. Male, indigenous folk, African descendants, women, LGBTQ, everyone can tell their own story now. And that is the beauty of the time that we live in today. You know, I mean, can't put a price on that, because there is no such thing as history anymore. There's everyone's story. That's all we're hearing is every people's story. That's all we're hearing. You know? And it's been passed or sold as history, but simply breaking the word down, you see the fallacy in it. That's his story, as opposed to her story or his story or anyone's story. Now we can tell again, you have to know business stuff. You have to have a wherewithal. That's the only thing. You always have to have knowledge of how to do a thing. Because if you don't have the knowledge, you know, then you can still not be able to tell your story. You know, so you got it. That's the thing. And you can tell your stories in many ways. I mean, when Mom and I got married early on, she really admired this artist called Ansel Adams. And he did art that was actually pretty similar to the type of art you did from a photography standpoint. He based all of his art in black and white.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so it was highly polished work. I mean, but it was all black and white. And she just really loved his artwork. And all he was doing really was telling his story of how he perceived the world through his art.
Right.
That's all it really is, perceiving the world through the art lens artistic lens that you have. So, and I'm thinking this is magic. Of course, as a creative myself, I'm thinking, well, everybody has an angle that they can position. I mean, before Ansel Adams, there was, what is the gentleman's name? He came up in the 70s, pop culture artist.
Black and white.
Andy Warhol.
Okay.
You heard of him?
Yeah.
Andy Warhol, right? He told a very interesting story, which I did not gravitate to. It was very simple. He just made American culture pop. Right?
He made everything an art.
Yeah, everything was art. He saw everything as art.
Yeah.
He could see that truck as art. He saw Campbell's soup can as art. He saw a box as art. You know, so. And here's the spin. Here's the magic. Just like it goes to me, of course, that was a Campbell soup can. It was a box. It was I couldn't see the art in it, but I didn't have the resources, the wherewithal, the vision to see that as art, to be in such a position to see that beyond anything but necessity. Because I was in a point where, I needed that Campbell soup can to eat. I didn't have the luxury of seeing that can as art. You know what I'm saying? And so you had to be in a certain position to be able to see that as art. So people along at my level couldn't see it as art. But you probably could see it as art, you know, because you were born at by the time you came to your place, you were at a different point, you know. And this is why you and I had this conversation before I believe. I said, I was born at a time where I was in survival mode. You were born in a place where you were in success mode. You know, it's just the way it is. So the things that I saw as art was very different. You know, so but to that end, there is art, and then there's being able to promote that message to such an audience in such a way that, like the pet rock, right? I always come back to the pet rock.
Yeah.
To be able to market a rock and call it a pet,
Right.
ingenious. Also goes to say that there is a way, if you can get into the psyche of a people, the culture, you can do just about anything, right? You know, you can do just about anything. There's that pet rock, there was that small Zen garden, you remember that? So just find the way, whatever your position is, whatever your art is, whatever the creative, that gift that God is channeling through you, as He's channeling through everyone just but not everyone is allowing themselves the clarity of mind to resonate on that level, because it's all about resonating on that same level. It's frequency, on that frequency. That's all it is. Getting on that frequency that you can be able to see it, to feel it. People are so busy that they can't see it, feel it. So, but once you allow yourself to be able to get on God's frequency and find out what He's channeling through each one of us, everyone can promote their art, that creative, whatever that's being channeled through us, is because the tools are here now. You know, you got your own cameras.
Yeah.
You can buy your own software. You can buy your, you know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, that's the beauty of the time that you're in. Yeah. You know, you can write your own book and get it published today, right? You, as long as you know the steps.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta have the knowledge. That's the key thing. have the discipline and the wherewithal to continue to stay focused until you get it done. Right? Which, again, where people, these are the things that people like. And then you at 24, you write your book. Your book is selling, is being promoted. It's taking you places that you've never envisioned, or that you did vision, but maybe even more so. And then people look at you like, who the fuck she thinks she is?
Where'd you come from?
Right, where did you come from?
Right.
You know, it's like you stayed focused, you stayed disciplined, you did the research to find out what you needed to do. What you want.
So what do you think the discipline comes? How do people get that discipline if they don't know how to yet?
I mean, I honestly think the key thing is to, you have to, you gotta stay open, you got to unbusy yourself. You know, I think people are too busy. I think that's honestly it. I think God is speaking quietly. But if you're too busy, you'll never hear. That's what I think. I just think people are so busy thinking of this or all this noise. That's why God's word literally says, guard your mind. These are ear gates. These are gates into your soul. Guard that. Don't hear all that nonsense and foolishness and watch all the silly stuff, because God is trying to talk, but you can't hear it. All this noise. I think that is it in and of itself. You know, does that make sense?
It does.
Thanks, sweetie.